Negative gearing, suddenly a big issue for Labor because some backbenchers want restrictions on negative gearing. Albo promised there wouldn't be after all the trouble they had with these sorts of policies under Bill Shorten. And so Jim Chalmers today was really trying to duck the issues. Have a look at this.
Well, we've got a broad and ambitious housing policy and we want to see it pass the Parliament. So we've already got a broad and ambitious housing policy. It's focused on building more homes. Our housing policy is broad and comprehensive.
Ali, surely this is just a third rail in Australian politics. You just can't mess with this stuff because most people in Middle Australia arc up about it. We know what the rules are. People like to invest in a rental property if they can. It's not a rort, and gee, you mess with that at your peril.
Well, what was it? Broad and ambitious. Well, we'll see how broad and ambitious it really becomes because it's now getting to the stage where, yes, the younger demographic needs the older generation to be able to get them that equity to be able to even get into the market. Will that tipping point come where the younger demo needs to be sated and pandered to and negative gearing attacked? I don't think so. They're not going to lose the votes over what may or may not be the best solution, and certainly attacking negative gearing as the sole reason or sole way to get back into the housing market isn't going to fly.
Yeah, I think it's a bad debate for them to have, Steve, and I would predict that tomorrow, if someone runs a microphone underneath Jim Chalmers, he will echo the Albanese line. He'll just say straight out, we're not going to change these policies because they just can't afford to have a debate about changing them.
Yeah, and so he should. I mean, my understanding is this has been driven by members of the left faction of the Labor Party because they want to out-green the Greens. And the Greens, and here in the ACT is a classic example, the Greens hate the fact that people own any property more than the one they live in, unless, of course, you're a Greens MP, then you can own as many as you want. But they seem to think that solving the housing crisis is going to be achieved by forcing investors out of the market. Now, particularly given that we've got 750,000 migrants coming in over the next 2 years, we've got a crisis at the moment with the current population. The answer seems to be to attack mum and dad investors, and I just think that's absolute madness. But getting back to Jim Chalmers, his policy is certainly ambitious to build all these new homes, but he hasn't addressed any of the structural issues that are preventing that from happening. And we know that the way to solve the housing crisis is to increase supply. But with Labor governments wall to wall right across Australia, where is the leadership to force the state, territory, and local governments to actually ease a lot of the red tape that is preventing people from building more homes?
Get rid of the red tape, get rid of the planning controls, open up more land. It's old-fashioned. Everybody knows it. That will increase supply and reduce prices and help people get into the market, but they don't want to do those things because they're not a big announceable. They actually just require hard work. Hey, while we're on the housing crisis, we've got to have a bit of sympathy for poor old Prince Andrew. But now that he's not an official working royal, the king, his big brother, apparently wants to punt him from the family mansion that he's been occupying with his divorced, what's her name, Sarah. She shares they have a wing of the house each apparently, a 30-room mansion on the Windsor estate. And they want to move him now that he's not doing any work into a smaller Frogmore cottage. Used to be Kate and Williams' place. I think it's about 10 rooms anyway. Have a listen to this little take on it from a comedy channel.
Because apparently Prince Andrew is that his brother King Charles is trying to move him out of his 30-room mansion and into the tiny 10-room Frogmore cottage. Why are you complaining? Your house has a name. Any house with a name is next level. My house just has a number like a peasant.
The housing crisis goes all the way to Windsor, Ali.
Oh, if ever a bloke should actually taste what it feels like and how hard it is to get a rental, it's probably Prince Andrew. I mean, I'm getting my tiny violin out for him right now. I mean, this was the guy that demanded or begged for him to be able to wear the garter robes at the coronation. He then wanted to have an official portrait taken with the king, even though that will never see the light of day. I think he's having a good race with Harry to the bottom on this in popularity stakes, and just get him out.
Yeah,
get him out.
He's lucky, Stephen, they don't just chuck him in the dungeon.
Well, I mean, this is a silver lining for him because apparently Frogmore Cottage, that's where the Duke and Duchess of Santa Barbara used to live, and didn't they renovate it before they moved to America? So he's moving into a place that's already been done up. I think he should embrace it.
Yeah, sounds like there'd be a Netflix studio in the basement there. That's who I was trying to think. It was Harry and Meghan living in that place. I think I'd take it. I reckon that those digs would do me. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week.